Mamma mia!
Reggie?
It's unethical!
A few moments later.
Boom, headshot! Howdy, howdy, it's me, that broken brain bitch! Welcome to episode 5 of my starter deck upgrade series. Is that an Oasis? Listen up, Gaib! That's right, we're on Desert Oasis. Let's dive right in. Blue-green. I have to look this one up. Ah, yes. Simic is what this color combination is called. And I've got to say, I've been looking forward to this. However, I did run into a slight snag.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
I already had a Desert Oasis upgrade. I hadn't intended to create it as an upgrade to the starter deck. I simply found it online, loved the flavor, and net decked it. Well, that's not a problem, right? The problem is the deck that I found isn't well suited to a new player's budget. It has too many rares and mythic rares. My deck library was getting clogged anyway. I might as well get rid of it and start from scratch. But first, let's talk about the original deck. This is by far the most potent starter deck that I've had the pleasure of piloting thus far. That's reflected in the test results. I went 3-2, the best result so far. And I'm looking at the list for the worst card, and I'm having trouble pinning one down. Hard Bristle Bandit is probably the weakest card in the deck, just because there's not enough crime synergy to help support it. But even then, it's still a decent enough card. The strongest card, or perhaps a better way of phrasing it is the most consistent performer, is a toss-up between Outcaster Greenblade and Sentinel of the Nameless City. In my opinion, Sentinel is the stronger of the two in a vacuum, but it's only a 1-of in this list, while Outcaster is a 2-of. Taking a step back, we have the early game. Rebel Belt Maverick is an excellent card, happy to see him. Another highlight is Grizzly Bill Spinesword. He's only a 1-of, but when you get him down on turn 2, he can scale into a monster real fast. There are a couple of mana dorks, which is fine. And here we have the single piece of interaction in the deck. Quatley's Final Strike. While it is crucial to have some kind of interaction in your deck, at 3 mana, it's a tad expensive. But, moving on, and man are we moving on. We've got some big, beefy dudes. Colossal Rattleworm, Beanstalk Worm, Cactarantulas, and the main lady herself, Bonnie Paw Clearcutter. Unfortunately, I never drew the Bonnie Paw in my tests. But I've played with her enough to know that she is one hell of a card. She's also the only card draw in the whole deck, so that's worth noting. And lastly, we have the lands. Nothing fancy here. Could use some more deserts, but all in all, not too shabby. There you have it. Now, let's do some upgrading. Alright, let's do this thing. First up, let's make some 4-ofs. Rebel Belt Maverick, Root Rider Fawn, and Outcaster Greenblade all make it up to 4 each. To make way for these additions, we've got to let go of some of the weaker cards in the deck. Hard Bristle Bandit and Waterwind Scout come to mind. Now let's tackle Huatli's Final Strike. This is the only strict upgrade in the whole deck. Look at hard-hitting Question. 2 less mana for the same effect. All you lose is 1 power. 9 times out of 10, that's inconsequential. Easy switcheroo. And that's it for the changes. I considered swapping Deep Fathom Echo for another Beanstalk Worm or perhaps a Pack Tarantula, but it's too cool not to have. So, yeah, not too much to upgrade compared to the previous decks. Let's take this bad boy out for a spin.
A few moments later.
Okay, I'm gonna level with you. For the first time, I think I failed at upgrading the deck. I went 1 in 4 twice. I played 10 games and won only 2. With such dreary results, I was distraught. Surely I'm not just this bad at deck building, am I? No, that's not it. I have 4 episodes of proof that I can upgrade successfully. So what's the deal? Well, I think I just missed the mark this time. The number one issue is the lack of trample. I often found myself with a sizable lead on the board, only to get chump blocked until my opponent could turn things around. So, how do we fix that? Well, let's add Hunter's Talent, and let's add 3 more Colossal Rattleworms. I took out River Herald Guide and failed forwarding to make room. Not only will this grant me more removal, but it'll also help me close out games. I also traded away the 2 Beanstalk Worms for an additional 2 Bonnie Pauls. That alone should make a huge difference. Alright, once more from the top. Alright, Ty Neon. Let's fucking go. 1, 2, 3, and it's even in order. 1, 2, 3 with 3 mana. Doesn't get much better than that. The game is signaling to me that they want me to win. So let's see if I can pull it through. Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel is a pretty good card. It allows for some cycle, and if I don't deal with it soon enough, then it becomes a big problem. So while I am loath to spend hard removal on a 2/1, I'm kind of forced into it. And at this stage, opponent only used 1 mana. They had 3 mana available, they only used 1 mana. They have 2 mana. They're white-blue. If that doesn't ring caution bells for you, then it should. It should ring caution bells for you, specifically for counter spells. White-blue has numerous counter spells available ranging from 2 to 4 mana. How do you play around that? If you know that your next play is going to be countered, then how do you play around that? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. The thing that I start out is by playing a card that isn't my most powerful card, and there's the denial right there. I play something that's a threat, but it's not the strongest card I have available to me. And then I'll admit I got lucky on this part. The counterspell, the particular counterspell that my opponent played, has the stipulation that if I were to pay 2 mana, I can counter the counter. So, by the fact that I played a 2 mana play while having 4 mana available, I had the 2 mana necessary to counter the counter. So it worked out. I got lucky. It worked out really well. And here again, we find ourselves in the exact same position. 2 mana up. Now they have a creature on the board, which is stronger than our creature. So I really want to get a board presence before he overwhelms us with another large threat. And between the Outcaster Greenblade and the Sentinel of the Nameless City, I'd rather the Sentinel get countered, because I have 3 deserts in play already, and another one will be coming onto the field if the Outcaster Greenblade resolves, meaning it will be a 5/6. And that is... the Sentinel of the Nameless City, in theory, can also grow to be a 5/6, but it will take numerous turns in order for that to happen. The Greenblade is a 5/6 right now. So I choose to keep that one in play. And that's another thing that you have to decide whenever you are trying to play around a counterspell. You have to evaluate the strength of your cards, and you want to play something that isn't like you want to play something that is a threat enough to warrant a counterspell, because otherwise, like, if you just play a 1/1, a vanilla 1/1, it's like they're not gonna care. They're not gonna counter that because they're gonna think to themselves, well, this is negligible, it doesn't matter. So you have to play something that is enough of a threat to warrant them using their counterspell, but you can't play your most powerful card because it's gonna get countered. So you have to evaluate the situation and parse your cards out. And we won. So there you go. Let's get back to business. Okay, that's much better. Not technically an improvement based purely on the record. I went 3-2, but it felt significantly better. Notable performers, and again, to no one's surprise, were Sentinel of the Nameless City and Outcast Greenblade. Both carried games hard. On the other hand, while being satisfying to play when you get to utilize the adventure, Beanstalk Worm felt clunky. The ramp is nice, but 5 mana for a 5/4 is abysmal. Compare that to Colossal Rattleworm. 1 mana cheaper, +1/+1 bigger, and it has flash more often than not. They make you pay for that flexibility. Lastly, getting to see Bonnie Paul more often. Just, yes. Feels so good. And that's about it. I'd rank it a solid A tier. And just to be clear, this tier list is only considering the starter decks. If I placed this on the same tier list as meta decks such as Mono Red, it's probably low B, high C tier. In any case, it's reliable. And if you have the wild cards to spare, Bonnie Paul and Bristly Bill as 4-ofs would make this a truly fearsome deck. That's all she wrote. You made it this far, you're a fucking legend, and I hope that your coffee is always the right temperature. Good luck and have fun out there, y'all, and I'll see you in the next vid.